All right, welcome everybody to the Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 board meeting. May I please have a motion to call the business meeting to order? So moved. Linda, second. Michele, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please. So moved. Carole, second. Linda, all in favor? Aye. All right. Mr. Freeman.
Business things before we get into the tax rates approval. First up is the June Treasurer's Report. Just pointing out, month of June, you'll see the expenditures jump significantly. Our 10-month employees that have elected the historical balloon payment get paid out on June 30th. So every year you're going to see that expenditure jump drastically in compared to the previous months. Other than that, a pretty typical June. Our auditor friends are upstairs right now, so these numbers might not exactly match our audit when you think year-end closeout, because they're going through all 12 months right now and might change things for us.
Questions? All right, with a motion to approve the June 25 Treasurer's Report as presented, please. So moved. Carole, second. Jeff, all in favor? Aye.
Next up, I gave you a lot of information for RASH 1 because these are technical changes, but I didn't want you to not have that frame of reference with the original 1986 agreement. So I uploaded that in case anybody wanted to fall asleep. It's a little historical fact. We were not part of the 1986 group. We did not join until 2004. So just a little historical fact there. But the cooperative agreement between all the districts, all we did was change some of the language in the agreement that I laid out there, the summary changes. But for those summary changes to go through, every district has to approve them by the end of this year, so by December 31st. So that's what we're approving tonight.
Questions?
You know, I asked you, did I have to read every word of that huge document, right? And you said no. And I was like, phew. But could you say in a nutshell what that was that I didn't read?
So in a nutshell, what changed was we formally wrote down the process if a district wanted to leave the consortium and how that would go and the process for that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
And that was a good nutshell. That was very concise. I liked it.
It was a lot.
Oh, yeah.
All right, motion to approve the governance changes. So moved. Michele, second. Linda, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up is officially approving all the transfers into reserves for 24-25 closeout. So after talking with our auditors of, where we're going to be and what the future holds, we ended on a positive for 24-25. So just laid out specifically what reserves we're going to fund to close out the year, and then what those balances would be. And then in addition, the board to approve, now if we're in 25-26, the use of 1.5 million from each, the ERS and TRS reserve. I know it seems kind of counterintuitive, like why are we putting money in reserves just to take it right back out? Because the comptroller says we have to. They have to have this documentation they always look for as part of our audit. Goes in, comes right back out. That's in essence what's being approved tonight.
Questions? All right, motion to approve the final reserve transfer. So moved. Michele, second. Carole, all in favor? Aye.
All right, next up, a little bit more detail, go over the tax warrant for 25-26. I know we talked about taxes a lot at the last workshop, so hopefully this is still fresh in everybody's memory. So just to review, there's three parts of the tax formula. We have the tax levy, which the district sets. The assessments come from our town assessors. And then the very famous that everybody talks about now is the equalization rates, which get set by the state. So those are our really three parts of the formula. And so our tax levy, our budget, which was cap compliant, is $127,549,054. But what we're approving tonight is less than that because we have to reduce our levy before we set the tax rates by the amount of $107,931, which is uncollected taxes that get added to this year's collection. So rather than levy the full amount plus getting those uncollected taxes, about 7 years ago, after the tax cap law, they made this, oh yeah, we should probably do it this way. So now all districts have to do this. Webster and Penfield make up 100% of our uncollected taxes. What uncollected taxes are, people that had paperwork errors, like an exemption was missed and it's got to catch up, or a lot of estates as well. So that generally makes up the bulk of uncollected taxes that get added to collection. So that's the first part, and we very rarely see this out of Wayne County. It's historically Webster and Penfield. So the assessments, what did assessments do this year? Comparing all four towns, Penfield went up 0.5% in assessments, Webster slightly over 1%, Ontario for us actually went down slightly, and then Walworth went up almost at 4%. And then I gave you how much that valuation is as a percentage of the whole district. So Penfield's assessed valuation is 35.5%. Webster's is just shy of 64%, and then our two small components in Wayne County make up the difference. So you could see the size. This is a very good way of seeing the size discrepancies between the four towns and how that affects tax rates. So I always like to highlight that for everybody. Questions on the assessments? Okay. Next up are those fund equalization rates, the third part. So I have the 25-26 rates and then the 24-25. See, all four towns dropped. One town dropped significantly more than the others. Penfield from 87 to 75, 12%. That's a fairly strong drop in equalization. And then Webster, I highlighted at 48%, is the lowest in Monroe County right now. And then Ontario and Walworth, just a couple years ago, like Penfield, were at 100%, are now at 72 and 70%. So just as a refresher, that's the state's way of saying these four towns are well below the market value. And so they get equalized. So their tax bill comes out the same at the end. Questions on that?
So scared. I'm just saying.
I have a slide for you. It's coming up on why we shouldn't be so scared about reassessment.
Right.
So our final rates, I gave a 2-year look back, and then in the middle column is 25-26. Penfield bears the brunt of the 12% equalization rate change, and are going up, their rate significantly impacted by that. So a 12% equalization shift equals a 7.5% tax rate increase. But what does that do to the other towns? Ontario and Walworth are so small, they get actually a tax rate deduction because of that 12%. And Webster stays fairly even with just 12-cent increase, or a little less than half a 1% variance. That 12% of Penfield mitigated the Webster size. And I showed that assessment comparison because you could see the interplay between the sizes of assessed value and how that impact shifts around tax rates. So those are our rates we'll be adopting in the year's look back for this evening. So those three parts come into the formula and spit out the 25-26 tax rates. Carole, to your question, a little kind of foreshadowing. If you look at that true tax value at the bottom, that number is really if everybody's at 100%. I'll explain that a little bit more, but a little foreshadowing. See the difference between the rates of why maybe you shouldn't be too shy away from the reassessment. So what does that look like on an average home? Obviously, that translates to a little bit more for Penfield on the annual basis. Webster, the annual increase is estimated on 250 is a 29, just short of $29. And then Ontario and Walworth will see a tax bill decrease because their rate decreased. So that's the estimated impact on a $250,000 home. I always like to compare how did I do with the budgeted numbers in April. So generally, if you link, this was the third workshop in April, I linked it here for everybody, the projection. Where was it really off? Assessments were up district-wide just less than 1%. I had projected 1.58%. So that was what really created the off portion of the tax rates when we compare. Penfield came in substantially lower than they have historically using a forecasting model. They were 1% lower than estimated for the calculation. So that really impacts the difference between what we projected in April to what we're approving here in August tonight. So just wanted to show that as comparison. We talked about this in April and see what was off as part of the budget process projection to what's actually happening. Now, Carole, here's the slide that answers your question. What happens if everything gets reassessed? So everybody goes to 100% equalization, those assessments go up, what happens to the rate? And you could see, this is all 4 towns going to 100% too, by the way. We could do ad nauseum, do 100% for Walworth and leave everybody else the same. Do 100% for Ontario and interchange and could do a whole bunch of scenarios. So we just did 100% on everybody. And this is what happens. Everybody's tax rate goes down very close to what that true tax rate would be. So we're seeing significant drops, so it balances itself out. And accordingly, based on that, where the equalization rate is now. So for Webster, practically, it's a 50% drop. You're going to see a 50% drop in tax rates. I'm being very generic, but because depending on what Penfield would do at that time, with their equalization rate, or if they're going to do it simultaneously, could have impact on all 4 towns' tax rates. As you saw through that example, 12% drop in Penfield helps out the Webster side in comparison. So this is what 100% would do, would move a Webster tax rate from what we have, $28 and roughly 70 cents, down to $13.79. So that would drop accordingly. So for the most part, it would balance out for everybody. Questions on that?
A town does the reassessment and all of the others follow suit? Like, it doesn't seem like we've ever had them all.
No, the only time we've had Ontario and Walworth at 100% at the same time. But then they dropped. Penfield did 100.
Right.
Webster did, so they have never I'd have to go back and check the data to see when they were at 100%.
Okay.
All 4 at the same time.
Is this something then, when Webster does their reassessment, is it something that we advocate in Penfield to look at doing, or?
It would make my job a lot easier
Okay,
for them to be, on the math side and trying to
Yeah.
explain those nuances when we get emails or calls that everybody at 100%. Still doesn't take it all away because of that first bullet point.
Right.
But, it's just, I like to view it as we're Switzerland, we're neutral with that. What the towns want to do, those are town decisions, and we just try to give the best data we can to all the 4 towns when they ask or if they approach us about doing that.
Okay.
But Linda, I will certainly ask. I'll ask Supervisor
Yeah,
Leanhouse
just
when I
wonder
talk
if
to him
he's-
and when I meet with him in September.
I
Just
wonder.
curiosity if there is any, indication that that's what they're
I
thinking?
feel as if they probably reassessed a few years too soon, because it was before the housing price.
Yeah.
It was right on that
Right.
It was right
upward,
on there,
yeah.
and so I feel like, I mean, for the last 3 years, we've just seen Penfield
Yep.
implode almost, so
know
it would maybe behoove them in the future, but,
Yeah.
okay,
I will ask.
thank
Sounds
you.
good.
And so just usually one of the questions we get, why are they not all uniform? Because we do collect sales tax across both counties, and that has to be applied and split. It's never split mathematically. It's split by what we estimate each one of the towns is going to get based on the size of that town. So Webster obviously gets the most allocation, and Ontario and Walworth get the smallest. They mathematically will balance, but Webster and Penfield will always be slightly different, even at 100% for both towns, because of the way the sales tax is broken out. Okay. And then just to update everybody on STAR, we're going to see big changes in STAR this year. It's estimated that our STAR reimbursement, the amount of people switching over from getting it on your bill to checks, is going to increase drastically. We're probably close to almost $900,000 less than last year because of the switches to the check. So as people switch to the check, we get less direct reimbursement from the state. And then here's our 25-26 rates for all 4 towns of what we're capped at compared to 24-25. And I also I did a historical data dive that everybody has access to of how STAR has changed over the last 12 years and between all 4 towns. A few reminders. It is August 19th. Bills should start going out next week. It's not unheard of for last-minute assessment changes or STAR changes to be made. Those changes may cause tax rates to be recalculated. I will obviously notify the board if that happens because everybody lives in the district here, requirement for your positions. So when you open up your tax bill, well, why is this rate slightly different than what we approved on August 19th, Brian? This is the reason why. It's happened in the past where we've had to go back in September and retroactively approve rates because something changes between now and September 1st. So just want to point that out. That's always a possibility, especially in this day and age. There's a lot of hands in the tax calculation pot between county, town, school district, and New York State now gets a little bit more involved on the STAR side, so things could change. Tax website's there. All the information will go live tomorrow morning based on tonight's conversation. Any other tax questions I could answer for anybody?
No, thank you. Thank you. All right. With that, motion to approve the 25-26 tax warrant. So moved, Jeff. Second, Maria. All in favor? Aye. Tax.
All right. You got me for one more report. Get logged out. Apologize. Why is that not working? Well, anyways, I could do it from memory. So it's a tax certiorari approval, a resolution. I highlighted the properties because it's 3 parcels kind of in the same thing in the what's everybody's affectionately known as the Webster Plaza. I put some executive notes in there as well to kind of give you a description. This one has been a tax certiorari that's been ongoing for a couple years. So there is refunds that we'll pay from our tax certiorari reserve, but it'll settle the claim. And the town, our attorneys, were all in agreement, as well as the plaintiff in this case as well. So just I gave you probably a little bit more detail there because some of these properties and their descriptions and the ownership is getting harder and harder to track. So I'm going to try to put it in simple terms. It's like, oh yeah, that's, Target, that's Pizzeria Uno. So hopefully that points it out for you.
Question? All right, motion to approve the core tax cert resolution. So moved, Carole. Second, Linda. All in favor? Aye. All right, Dr. Chalmers. On to the code of conduct.
Yeah, thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday, happy almost Wednesday. I will be providing a presentation today on the Code of Conduct updates for 25-26, which is a required public hearing of Code of Conduct updates. The foundation for the annual updates that we're required to undertake for the Code of Conduct come from New York State Education Law 2801, which gave us the initial authorization to establish a Code of Conduct to govern essentially everything that happens within the district. That includes the behavior of students, staff, parents, families, and visitors to our district. The 25-26 update to the Code of Conduct is very heavily focused on the implementation of distraction-free learning in our school district. There are generally no other changes to the Code of Conduct this year, except those which were necessary to implement distraction-free learning. The sort of three-pronged component of this implementation includes the foundation of the New York State law, which essentially gives us the language to make it as easy and accessible and as consistent as possible across districts. Our policy, which utilizes that language, which was approved by the board earlier this summer, and then our regulation, which affords the operational components of implementing the law. The primary purpose of distraction-free learning is broadly to minimize the distractions that we know that personal electronics cause on a day-to-day basis. The broad goals include the enhancing of focus, student engagement, and specifically in their learning, but also more deeply in engaging with peers in peer-to-peer learning and with their teachers, to all the soft, non-content-oriented learning that happens in every single classroom. There's also tons of information around the mental health benefits of this approach to distraction-free learning, and then also ensuring that the environment is safer for all members of the school district community. As we update the Code of Conduct and as we seek to implement any new components of keeping our district community safe, it is always recognized that it's important to ensure that the community is deeply engaged in establishing the language that those new regulations or policies will include, but also the structure of implementing it. What are going to be barriers? Where is there likely to be pushback? What are some insights that we're not thinking about at our vantage point that our parents, students, and other community stakeholders could provide? So that stakeholder engagement was afforded via the collection of survey data, group consultations, as well as through the district's website, thought exchange that was sent out early in the spring, messages through Parent Square, as well as additional stakeholder group engagements to include all levels of our district staff. The next component, which is we've done the back work, we've done the establishment, we've begun the implementation, but we also have to teach. And so each building has been charged with developing a communication and teaching and learning plan around the Code of Conduct broadly, but specifically distraction-free learning. And those will be delivered via educational materials, fact sheets, and FAQs that will be shared via Parent Square, principals' newsletters, and during Chromebook supply pickup. Additionally, classroom presentations will be happening in school buildings, morning show presentations, and in-person and virtual family engagement opportunities as well. The topics that we intend to really help structure our engagements with our community will be around defining what distraction-free learning is, some of the terms that have come up in the law that may not be commonly understood, exceptions to the requirements of distraction-free learning, the broad behavioral expectations around distraction-free learning, what it means to enforce distraction-free learning in a progressively and restorative manner, how devices are intended to be stored, how parents can communicate with their students if they are not in possession of their personal device, and how parents can retrieve their student's personal device if that device happens to have been collected for safety purposes at some point during the school day. There will also be ongoing education and support, as well as resources for families, because implementing distraction-free learning in schools has impacts at home as well. You can imagine there are some parents who are saying, "Oh my God, I wish I could do this at home." And there are some resources that we will be providing as well that lead from strengths, not seeking to demonize personal electronics and all that it connects students to, but ensuring that students understand the benefits of reducing screen time and using personal electronics more responsibly. Any questions?
It's going to be interesting,
Yes, it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, but
Yep.
I just think it's amazing.
I would say, first of all, kudos to our team for Robert and Aaron and Francine being a part of working with our building principals to try and get everything and all the information out as the school year begins here. And I guess I don't want to put them on the spot, but I just am curious from Rebecca and Naya, have you heard
I knew you were gonna do
anything
that.
or what do you guys,
I
are
knew
you
you were
guys,
gonna
you
do
can just give us a thumbs up if you think it's going to go okay or if you think it's going to be a little bumpy or.
So, in my AP Psych class, we actually went over like the law and stuff like that, and we kind of went into it. I mean, there was a lot of worries, but I think I do understand the benefits. I mean, we have our phones like for the rest of the day at home, so I guess 8 hours isn't totally bad, and there are loopholes. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I did see like you could have a flip phone, but I'm gonna follow it. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. It's a little stressful, especially since we grew up with our electronics
know.
since we were young. But I think it'll take some time, but it'll.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah, I think
Thank you.
it's like a good change. I feel like we'll get used to it, but it might just take a little bit and like some enforcement because I know people are probably gonna try and find a way around it or be sneaky. But I think it'll be good in the end, and hopefully we'll see some progress with it.
Great. Oh, thank you guys very much. And thanks, Robert.
Thank you. All right, with that, motion to approve the 25-26 code of conduct. So move Michele, second Carole, all in favor? Aye.
Thank you too for the Q&A on the website with all the information and it's so easy to navigate and there's so many great resources on it, so
Definitely.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hopefully people will look at it, you know, learn.
All right, the NYSBA virtual delegate meeting is October 16th. It's virtual. I did it last year. I'm more than happy to do it again unless, Carole, did you want?
I put it on my calendar,
Perfect.
so.
All right, so with that, motion to approve Carole as our delegate for the virtual meeting this year. So moved Maria, second Carole, all in favor? Aye. All right.
Congratulations.
Yay. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. That brings us to board member highlights, if anyone has anything they want to share.
I just want to say that we went to the breakfast for the
Yeah.
new teachers, and that's always such a great moment. As a person who's been in the district for a long time, had children go through the district, taught in the district, I just love the energy, and I thank Erin for those games, because I love games, or what do you call them? Icebreakers. Well, it's a game.
Inclusive welcome.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Icebreakers makes teachers nervous. We do it to the kids, we don't like doing it to ourselves.
Right.
But you really got a chance to talk to,
yeah.
a third or
Like-
40% of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
wonderful.
was great.
So,
101. That's great.
No, can we say that, Webster has been asked to present, at
Yeah.
Information Exchange on September 11th at 4 PM, and the topic is AI, so look for Aaron and Joe and Brian to give that presentation. Everybody is welcome to attend that as well, if you'd like to go, so.
Yeah, and
It's at the
not
Strath
noon.
Allen.
It's the one that is actually at
4
4, right?
o'clock.
It's at 4 o'clock, and then we, I think, have our meeting actually following it.
Oh, do we?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, something,
Yeah.
yeah, so,
So-
no.
you could actually.
Maybe. So information exchange is one of the 3 different programs that, and that's the first initial.
No, I'm sorry, the date. I
Oh,
did the
sorry, I'm
information
sorry.
exchange last year. I was like, no, I
That's
know.
right, that's right.
September 11th.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Yep,
Thanks.
4 PM. I'll send it out in our weekly email when it comes out. Oh, September 10th, sorry. I never get dates right. Sorry.
Oh, it's 10th, okay.
It's
okay.
the 10th. Never mind.
I just have 2
Thank
things,
you,
quick-
Heather.
2 quick things. First of all, we actually, Brian and I both got a chance to attend with Amy Thomas and a couple other members of the Monroe County School Boards Association. We had a meeting with the governor's office, and I thought it went really well. They listened anyways, and the topics were everything from foundation aid, and Brian had some great questions around, we asked, specifically, Brian asked, are they going to take any of the recommendations from the Rockefeller again this year? They kind of indicated that maybe not, was the early indication of that.
Okay.
But they also didn't say officially like they were looking to go after foundation aid, which was the other good thing. But again, they were some aides from the office that we met with, talked about EV buses, and we certainly talked about distraction-free learning, and about 4 or 5 other topics too that they had for us. But it was a good meet and greet, and we were grateful that Amy reached out to the 2 of us to be the liaisons from Monroe County to go there. So it was good. And then I also want to put a plug in for a great job with his presentations today, but Brian's also going to be presenting at the New York State ASBO, the business officials meeting here coming up Thursday and Friday on behalf of for the Webster School District. So thank you, Brian, for doing that and sharing your expertise. That's all I have.
Just one last thing, as a follow-up to our retreat topic last month, we will delay any decision on a partial tax exemption for veterans to allow the time for the board and community to understand the upcoming town property assessments first. The total tax levy will remain the same, but the distribution of the tax burden will change. So this delay will just give us some time to consider the new assessments before we continue the discussion on veterans' benefits. All right. With that, that brings us to the consent agenda. This is a fun one, a lot of tenures, a lot of exciting times, right? Any questions on the consent agenda? All right, with that, can I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda? So moved. Linda, second. Maria, all in favor? Aye. All right, we have no speakers, so with that, I believe we're good. Carole, can I have a motion to adjourn? Yes, so moved. Second. Michele, all in favor? Aye. Thank you so much, everyone.
Good evening.